Ladies and gentlemen, I just found out that my friend Edmund H. Laurent was one of the guys who was participating in the freak-offs with Cassie and Diddy. He was highly sought after. I remember him from 20 some odd years ago. He wanted to be an actor, right? And you know, he'd done certain roles and things like that, but he always wanted to be famous. I guess if he plays this right, he can have more fame than he thought he'd ever have. I don't know if this is the way to get it, but like I said, they say any publicity is good publicity. But I got some jewels to drop on you about this, man. Let's get into some of this straight game.
Life is like some cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY, Richardson, Platinum Artist, Platinum Songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, click on what appears to be that little bell notification right below this video. And like I always say, you know, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. I'm going to get right into this straight game, ladies and gentlemen. This is explosive and exclusive. Like I said, many people have heard about or seen the pictures of the escorts that the government had put out in regards to some of the escorts that were hired by Diddy, allegedly, right? I can confirm that Edmund did participate in the freak-offs with Diddy and Cassie by his own admission. I'm going to show you in something exclusive that he said about that situation and about one of the situations that he talked about Cassie looking sad and a bunch of other things. But more importantly, I'm going to do it like this. Look, so I met Edmund some years ago, Venice Beach, California. Me and my friend Alfred and Seymour, they were performing down. They had Venice Beach on lock on Saturday and Sunday. They had a comedy show that they would do on Venice Beach, and it was crazy. I mean, they had it locked. And Edmund was one of our friends. You know what I mean? Like I said, you know, little did we know at the time that he was homeless. You know what I mean? And sleeping on the beach. You know, like I said, if you looked at him, you wouldn't think that he was homeless. You know what I mean? At that particular time, but he was. And like I said, he came out to do acting. I would see him sometimes like at auditions and things like that, because I was doing a little bit of acting and like extra work and stuff like that for movies and videos and stuff like that. You know, till I got my feet wet in the music game. You know what I mean? It was all about a hustle. And like I said, LA is that type of place. If you come to get it, you got to go get it. You know what I mean? You see the plaques on the wall behind me. I came to get it, and I got a little bit of it. You understand what I'm saying? And so more importantly, Edmund, like I said, he was doing a little bit of like Caribbean music because he had a heavy Caribbean accent, you know, acting and stuff like that. You could see nice looking young man, and like I said, you know, so he had got a lot of work in the town. So like I said, once again, but more importantly, recently it came to my attention after watching looking at the Art of Dialogues X.com page, that I was looking at the people that they were naming as the people that were escorts for Diddy, and I was like, oh shit. I'm like, yo, they got Edmund. What? And I hadn't seen him in a long time, so I didn't know what he was up to. You know what I mean? You know, I knew he had moved and done a few videos, and like I say, a few things, man, that were huge. Like I said, one of those things, if you will, was the California Love video with Tupac. As you see in the lower left hand picture, that's him and Tupac right there. As you see in the top right hand, that's him and Chris Tucker. And you see in the lower right hand, that's him and Dr. Dre. So he was in the California Love video. He had done other videos for like En Vogue, a whole bunch of other people. You see him right there with Jackie Chan, if you will. So like I said, Edmund had done a lot of work in town, and you know, just putting it down, modeling, a whole bunch of stuff. You know, you may have seen him he did an En Vogue, like I said, En Vogue video. He was the main guy in the video, you know, like the male attraction to the women or whatever in that video. there's too many things to name, but that's how he started off in the game. You know, he was doing his thing. And so you know, I'm looking the other day and I see all of a sudden I'm like, yo, what? You know what I mean? You know, Hollywood has this strange thing about, you know, when you come out here, you know, if you ain't firmly planted on the ground, you can end up doing a lot of things. Like I said, you know, the San Fernando Valley is like one of the porn capitals of the world, if you will. So people go into that, you know what I mean? You seen the Ray J, Kim Kardashian thing, you know what I mean? And how that kind of thrust her, even though she wasn't doing that. It was that situation like that kind of thrust her into the limelight, if you will. And she's made hundreds of millions of dollars. You know, like I said, so, but check this out. So when you, like I said, the California Love video is one of the highlights. I just look at that and I think about Dr. Dre, you know, Diddy, you know, the Death Row thing and all of that, right? But then, like I said, here's the picture that the feds had put up, the government had put up, with him on it. Like I said, once again, you can see he's a little bit older now from what he looked like back in the day, if you will, right? You know what I mean? So, like I said, but more importantly, let's get into this. Check this out. This was one of the business cards that Edmund had gave me. You're not gonna see this anywhere else. This is exclusive right here, right? This is one of the business cards that he gave me. He would always give me different business cards, you know, and like we would see each other on, like I say, video shoot sets and stuff like that. And like he was always doing something like major, you know, playing a major role, you know, because he was like the sex symbol guy in the video or whatever they were doing at that particular time. Like I said, if you look deep and harder, you'll see him, this guy, in a lot of videos and stuff, right? And so this is one of the one of the business cards that I had, and this business card is over 25 years old, at least over 20 years old. I would say over 25 years old, to be exact, right? And so, like I said, I had to go through my cards, and I was like, damn. I'm like, man, Edmund, you know what I mean? Like, dude, what happened? You know what I mean? You know, from what I understood it to be. But I'm gonna read you something right now. That's very important dealing with the case. And like I said, Edmund, he also wrote a book, right? And the book is titled "The Journey of an Island Jewel," right? You know what I mean? Because he's from the island, he's from the Caribbean. And like I said, he had a real heavy accent. I think that was one of the reasons why he really didn't go as far as he should have in the like acting and things like that, because his accent was so heavy. So you would get like parts that were due to somebody like that. He also worked on the East Siders movie with Snoop and them. You know, I think he did some extra work on that and a few other things, right? And so check this out. I want you to really peep this game right here. This is from his book. And I want you to, he's talking about Diddy and Cassie, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, he said, entered the room, and you got to pick this up, The Journey of an Island Jewel. This is crazy, right? He said, I entered the room. She was so sexy. He's talking about Cassie, ladies and gentlemen. She was so sexy, so beautiful, but there was a look of sadness in her eyes. I did all I could do to bring her a moment of passion and sexual fulfillment. Right? So he's basically talking about having sex with Cassie. And he said she and I would be playing around, and then he would enter the room wearing this black thing over his face. This is not the first time somebody said that. The guy Daniel Phillips said that Diddy would have a black something over his face, right? So say wearing this black thing over his face and mouth and instructing me what to do and how to do it to her, right? Once again, this is a playbook of Diddy. We heard it from The Punisher. We heard it from the other male escort, Daniel Phillips, right? And instructing me what to do to her. I love giving it to her doggy style. Her ass was so pretty. Their drug of choice was cocaine. Unlike what Cassie was saying about cocaine, Edmund is saying that their drug of choice when he was there was cocaine. Their drug of choice was cocaine, and their drink of choice was GHB, sipped in a cup. So he's saying they were taking cocaine and doing GHB sipped in the cup. And as we were fucking, he would come closer, butt ass naked, with that black scarf around his face with his cock hard as a rock, meaning his penis erect hard as a rock. Is he saying? On this occasion, because I had drunk the pre-workout drink, my performance was not as pristine as usual, right? Patrick, that's the nickname for Puffy. Patrick, right? And Cynthia is the nickname for Cassie. You see the P and the C. If you watched the live yesterday, you understand what I'm talking about. Patrick was instructing me to do this and to do that to Cynthia, and I was not totally able to. The C4 had me acting gibberish. C4 is a pre-workout, like before you're about to go to the gym, it kind of give you some pump, like energy, right? So he said Patrick, who is Puffy, got upset and started yelling and cussing, right? So Puffy got upset and started yelling and cussing. What's wrong with you? And he did not pay me my full amount, right? So he's like, yo, it's kind of crazy because it really takes you in the room when you're reading it. He said, what's wrong with you? He said he didn't pay me my full amount, which was $1,500. Instead, he threw me a couple of hundreds. He threw a couple of hundreds at me. He was a black music billionaire and was giving me peanuts. I was so disappointed. I had bills and needed the money badly. He was paying his personal trainer $1 million a year to no avail because he did not look any fitter. Edmund said he was paying his trainer $1 million a year, but to no avail because he didn't look no fitter, right? I decided not to see them anymore and signed up with another dance company, right? So he signed up however that worked, dance company. I was told by the new company that a couple had requested me. Come to find out, it was them. So now, Edmund said that he didn't want to work with them no more, right? Signed up with a new dance company, right? And was told by the new company that a couple had requested him. And they went looking for him. They went searching for him, come to find out. He said, come to find out, it was them. No, thank you. I later learned that the personal trainer of Patrick, the personal trainer of Patrick that had tried to help me get in shape ran off with Patrick's wife. Wow. So the personal trainer, listen, this is mind-blowing. This is exclusive right here. So the personal trainer, right? Edmund is talking about the dude that Cassie married. Listen, this is exclusive. He said, no. He said when they came looking for him, he was like, no, thank you, right? He said he later learned that the personal trainer of Patrick, right, of Puffy, that had tried to help him get in shape, ran off with Patrick's wife and married her. See, that's something I didn't know. I didn't know the dude Fine was Puffy's trainer. They didn't say that. They were talking about like it was a personal trainer that was hired for Cassie. But Edmund is saying that the dude Fine, her husband now, right, ran off with Cassie. Amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Amazing. Right? So what he said, no thank you. I later learned that the personal trainer of Patrick that had tried to help him get in shape ran off with Patrick's wife. See, Edmund, I think, was under the impression that Cassie was Diddy's wife based on what she had been telling all of the escorts, my husband, right? And marry her. I am so happy for Cynthia. She deserves some happiness. They were not the only Hollywood personalities I have encounters with. Another one was Lenny Woods. Ooh. Yo, look. This has gotten deep. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, you know now. This has gotten deep. Like I said before, my man Edmund, like I said, I hadn't seen him in years, but let me show you something else. Check this out. Not only that, but peep this. That's the California love right there, right? But this is another one. This is another one right here. So this is another one. You're not gonna see this. This is exclusive right here too. This is one of the other business cards that he would always give me. Like, yo, here I got my headshots again. You know, blah blah blah. Now you gotta understand what I'm telling you about. All of this right here. What I'm telling you about. This was way before we understood any of all of what's going on right now with this Cassie Diddy thing. This card right here. Like I said, I had these in my stack of cards. I probably had like 500 business cards. You know, because when you out, you know, earlier on, you know, before I had some success in the music game, right? You know, you would go out and try to, you know, network, club, blah, blah, blah. I told you guys about the time when we was leaving the Century Club and Tupac went to Peanuts and had the two girls in the Rolls Royce. If you look on my channel, you'll see what I'm talking about, right? But like I said, once again, yeah, this is heavy, man. You like I said, I just showed you a part, and a lot of people don't even know about this book. So it's about to get detrimental. It's about, so now I see kind of what the feds might be going after, and I'm almost certain, right, that Edmund gonna testify. I don't know for sure, but I'm kind of certain that he gonna testify. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. You heard it here. And like I said, once again, you know, like this is Edmund, you know, like years ago, you know what I mean? You see a little bit younger, right? And, you know, this is him in the indictment, in the government exhibit, you know what I mean? From that perspective. Yeah, like I said, this is crazy, man. Like I said, the first business card that he ever gave me, this was some, like I said, none of this shit here was even thought of, yo. The Diddy stuff, like I said, it was strictly out here trying to, you know, make it pop, make it happen. You know what I mean? As you can see, like I told you, like, yo, here's the you know, the California Love video shoot. Like I said, you know, he knew Pac. He met Dre, he met Chris Tucker, and everybody, and all of those things. So, like I said once again, but that outlet to the book, explosive. So, what I found out today was that the personal trainer that Diddy was paying $1 million a year to, according to Edmund, right? According to him, is the person who Cassie ended up marrying. They didn't tell us that part. And so, if this is true, and he's going to get up on the stand and testify to this, it changes the dynamic, right, of how Cassie actually felt about the situation. Like I said, as you see, you know what I mean? Clearly, it changes the whole dynamic about that, yo. Look. Right? Look, here you go. Look, check it out. It changed the dynamic. He said she entered the room. She was so sexy, so beautiful, but there was a look of sadness in her eyes, right? This is what I guess the prosecution has been, you know, they're building up to. I did all I could do to bring her to a moment of passion and sexual fulfillment. She and I would be playing around, and then he would enter the room, right? Wearing a black thing over his face and mouth, instructing me what to do and how to do it to her. You know, I love giving it to her doggy style, as her ass was so pretty. Their drug of choice was cocaine, and their drink of choice was GHB sipped in a cup, right? Wow. As we were fucking, he would come closer, butt ass naked, with that black scarf around his face, with his cock hard as a rock. On this occasion, because I had drank the pre-workout, right? My performance was not as pristine as usual, right? Patrick, Puffy, right, was instructing me to do this and to do that to Cynthia, and I was not able to. The C4 had me acting gibberish. Patrick got upset. Puffy got upset and started yelling and cussing. What's wrong with you? And that he's not paying me the full amount, which was $1,500. So he was getting $1,500. You know what I mean? To be with Cassie, man. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like I said, yo, my man Edmund, man, like I said, I never thought that it would be this way, but you know, he always wanted to be famous. Like I said, he came here, he was homeless. Like I said, you know, started off doing videos, you know, little independent films and things like that. You know, had a couple feature roles in music videos and stuff like that, and you know, got around to meeting a lot of people. And like I said, as you see, he said in that paragraph that wasn't the only high power couple. You know what I mean? When you talk about it, what he said Cynthia, when he talked about, he said that she left Diddy for the trainer, right? That's, like I said, we didn't know that, but then he said they were not the only Hollywood personalities I have had encounters with. Another one was Lenny Woods. And I'm trying to think, Lenny Woods. Wow. You know what I mean? I don't know who that is, but that's interesting. So, like I said, the book is titled The Journey of the Island Jewel. And like I said, it's on Amazon. Also, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, it's another book that I, like I said, I just came across from that perspective. And it's this joint right here. That's another picture of him and Tupac right there, right? This book right here, like I said, Behind the Walls with Tupac Shakur. Also, you got to pick this up. It's on Amazon. Very interesting read. The author, Donald Richardson, did 23 years in prison and ran into Tupac at Rikers Island. And like I said, the story talks about Puffy, talks about Jimmy Henchman, talks about Haitian Jack, the Ayanna Jackson situation, and things that Tupac never discussed that I didn't know about. You know what I mean? Tupac having sexual relations with female guards. It's a bunch of stuff, man. Like I said, you got to pick up the book. More importantly, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you stay tuned. It's about to get interesting. This Diddy thing about to get interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, yeah, it seems like Edmund got a lot to say, and it's contrary to what's been going on in regards to what we thought it was. And like I said, from the excerpts from his book and him saying that, he's basically saying that Cassie didn't seem like she was happy from that perspective, at least at that time that he was with her. And he said that he in the book, he also said that he had been with her at least 10 or 12 times, you know, or with them 10 or 12 times. And like I said, as you heard him say, as my performances before, right? Because he took the C4 pre-workout, right? So yeah, like I said, once again, your boy DELRAY, stay tuned. Straight gang.